And as Izak Khomo is still with us in studio to discuss the Zimbabwean issue as well as other issues on the continent. Izak Khomo, thank you very much for staying with us. Let's just start off with, okay, it's been relatively peaceful in the elections.
Yep.
Do you see this carrying on after the results are announced?
Well, I hope it goes there, and it depends upon the leaders themselves, especially the opposition leaders. Are they going to incite people to come up in the streets, or are they going to actually take the thing to the courts?
Because there's likely to be demonstrations, isn't it?
Oh yes, well, people dissatisfied, there's likely to be demonstration. You know, the post-election violence, basically, it is actually sort of stirred up. Yeah, but it will depend upon the leadership qualities of the opposition leaders. Yeah, there are 55 opposition leaders. It depends how they take up the thing. And it also depends upon the electoral law of Zimbabwe. I mean, see, the courts are there, and people should actually revert to the courts other than to the streets. Yeah.
Let's look at the leadership and the quality of leadership for this election. There were, in terms of women on the ballot, there were about 4 out of, I think, the 22. Initially, there were 23 presidential candidates. One is out, Divine Hove. What do you make of that, just being 4 women in the running?
In fact, that's fantastic. You know, one thing you should understand about Zimbabwe, I mean, the Zimbabwe people, the Zimbabwe culture, it's a patriarchal culture. I mean, Zimbabwe is a place that's not long ago that where a woman, when he talks to a man in the traditional areas, she had to kneel on her knees, you know. That is Zimbabwe in real sense, you know.
Is it not changing?
That's why it is changing. You know, you never see it nowadays, you know. You can go to Harare and you'll never see it taking place. But that was a standard thing in Harare and also in the rural areas. And again, the women were supposed to go in the background. But now you find that the women have actually come up to the fore, taking over the leadership role, you know, which is fantastic. And I like this other lady of the MDC, who's Thokozani. She was marginalized by her own party, you know. But she stood her ground and she actually came and she's got her own faction, you know, which is great. It means that the women in Zimbabwe are not prepared to be put down anymore, you know, which is great.
But what needs to happen now, practically, in order to launch women into State House?
Well, to launch women into State House, you know, I mean, well, that's a very controversial issue as far as I'm concerned, because I tend to point out to women like Margaret Thatcher, Mama Sirleaf, Johnson, Indira Gandhi, our present lady in Germany,
Angela Merkel,
exactly. Now these women, they were not there promoted on a thing, you know. They were there on their own merit, you know. I mean, to say that if you're a man, you think you're going to put her down, you better come up with a good story. You'll never be able to do it. Margaret Thatcher was an iron lady, and she was that. Same with Indira Gandhi. These people never, and I think that's what it's supposed to be. If we've got to get leaders, let's get real strong leaders. Not leaders who are going to be there because, I mean, to say we've got to have parity and whatnot. Let's have parity in actually bringing them up. But now for people to excel, let's take the best. But to build them up, we've got to actually sort of have empowerment issues involved.
And do you think the two so-called front runners, Mnangagwa and Chamisa, have those qualities in order to put women's issues forward?
Well, they'll be forced to, because basically the women make up half the population and they make up half the vote. And as we go on, the women, it's not that the women or leaders are actually sort of for discovering their power. It is actually the women themselves, the voters, who are discovering their power. But most important, and this I tend to tell people about the African situation, and that happened when Sirleaf was voted in. I was being interviewed by a colleague and talking about women this, women that. But I said basically where the victory lies, it lies in the African society itself, whereby men, that woman who's been voted in, Sirleaf, she was voted in also by men. So even us men, we are prepared to take the best, we are prepared to accept a woman who's got leadership quality. And that's what it's all about. I mean, to say now in my generation, I think it's just an honorary thing. I've been going to with girls from Standard 1, you know. I mean, say some of them are brilliant, and we actually sort of acknowledge their brilliance, you know. So if you see a woman who's brilliant and vote for her, we'll vote for her.
It's a
But
mindset issue, isn't it?
Yeah, it's a mindset issue, but that's what's happening in Africa. There's a very big change. Not only that women are coming up to claim their position, but also men are accepting women as equal. That's the most important thing.
Really appreciate your insight over the past couple of hours. Izak Khomo is an analyst. Thank you very much indeed for your time. Des?
In other stories,